Hello, Super Sales Girls. Here we are for session 5. Oh my goodness, can you believe it? And I want to thank you for your participation and your involvement up to today. I've been hearing back from the leaders of just how engaged everybody is, and you're helping each other, giving ideas, taking ideas, executing those ideas. Keep it going. You are going to be amazed at what a difference this season can be for you and the confidence that you're going to have all the way through it. And that is the name of the game when we come to sales. So today, our topic is going to be the show, the big show, because this is where you can sell so much. So technically, I think we're calling it the dynamics of a presentation, but I really think it should be how to present to sell more through your show, because your ability to sell more while you are presenting is going to show in your show average. A lot of show there. Well, hey, if you've got any fear of public speaking, you are not alone. In fact, 19% of people will identify this as their biggest fear, outranking death, flying an airplane, not riding in an airplane, but flying an airplane, darkness, and social situations. So you're not alone if you fear it. However, if you're on the other side and you said, I don't fear it all, I thrive in it, great. So you're either on the side that isn't crazy about it, or you're on the side that loves it. Either way, you are going to learn so much during this module. So you're going to be getting a lot of tips and techniques. Now, I don't expect you to get out and do them all at once. Here's what I do expect you to do. Be present during your training today, take a lot of notes, and then come back and visit these notes for each show that you have in order to prepare for it. Because our first point that we're going to make tonight is the difference between an amateur and a professional. You see, an amateur just shows up and drinks the hopium, hoping for the best. A professional will prepare. A professional will go back and review how things worked and what didn't work so they can get better. You see, a football player is going to watch video of the game in order to see how they can get better. That's a professional. An amateur just keeps winging it and hoping for the best. So there are a lot of differences between an amateur and a professional. And go ahead and we'll stop here for a moment and you can share with those in your group, what is the difference between an amateur cabbie stylist and a professional cabbie stylist? Go ahead and share those. So you've talked about amateur versus professional cabbie stylist. And keep in mind that you can do a lot to improve your presentation and your show, or you can do a little. But what you can't do is nothing. That is not an option for a super sales girl. And even the little bit, I'm okay with that as long as you're doing a little bit at each show. And you are writing down the things that you tried. Did they work or not? And then doing a new, adding on to that, because you're going to get so much today out of this. Remember, that's part of our true selling, because the E stands for evaluating. So we need to go out and try these techniques and then evaluate what works. How do we get better? That truly is that growth mindset as a super sales girl. Okay, so what a presentation is and what a presentation is not. There's really only one piece that I want you to take away with this, because a presentation is communication. Communication is an exchange of ideas. So if all you're doing is talking and your audience is simply sitting and looking, that's really not communication. Audiences want to participate. Think of this. If I just talk to you for 30 minutes, I mean, no matter how great I am at talking, you're going to start to tune out. You want to participate in it. So it's important that my presentation with you engages you every step of the way. Now, I've met a lot of my clients through my presentations. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. How can you educate people? How do you start to overcome objections so that you break down the barriers, the natural barriers that are there in a presentation to ultimately make more sales? All right, so we've identified that a presentation is an exchange of ideas. So how do we do that? All right, we're going to have 5 key areas that we're going to focus on today. The first one is the mindset before the show. The mindset before the show. Number 2 is your opening. How do you set the stage? Number 3, weaving in overcoming objections. while you share the close. Number 4, closing the show. Now, you'll see that 2, 3, and 4 are the opening of the show, a little bit of the body, and the close. The opening and the close of your presentation are the most important pieces. What you do in the middle, this is going to be bonus, right? But that opening and the close are extremely important. And number 5 is going to be closing the sale. So you've done an amazing presentation, but we got to make sure that the women actually walk out with what they need and what they want. Okay, so here we go. Number 1, mindset of the show. Here are some important key aspects that I want you to take away. Do your research. Know your audience. Talk to your hostess. Who are these people? What's their background? How do you know them? What do they like? What do they not like? The more you know about them, the more you can weave into your show and your presentation to connect with the audience. Every audience is different. And don't ever assume that this audience will be the same as the last one. Ask those questions before. Make sure that when the show starts and people start walking in, you don't judge people. It's very easy to do, but we want to stay empty. And when I say empty, it's empty in a very positive way because we simply want to start observing people and connecting with them. See, there is a natural tension between the presenter and the audience, and I've mentioned that earlier. So we want to start breaking that down, and the way you do that is making sure that you can go up and introduce yourself to each person and learn their name as well. If you're not great at names, I suggest that you work on that because that will help to make a difference in connecting with people. If you can use people's names, it is so powerful. And then also what you hear from them, right? You're going to start talking with them before. What do they like? Where do they like to shop? All those questions that we talked about before. That's where you want to use those. And then the information you get, you want to be able to infuse it in the show. All right, so we're going to stop here and take about 2 minutes and talk about other things that are important for you to be doing prior to the show to have the right mindset. Oh, and the last piece that absolutely I want to make sure that you guys talk about is remembering that you are there to serve others. You are there to serve the hostess and to serve her guests in that helpful attitude and mindset that you have. Okay, we got about 2 or 3 minutes to talk about that. Okay, so we've got the mindset piece down pat. This next piece is the opening. It is my favorite part of a presentation. And when I have taught professionals about presentation skills, or I also taught at the college level presentation skills, this is the area that takes a lot of time, and it is worth it because first impressions are extremely important. Now, we've already made impressions when people walk in, but this is another level of a first impression, and how you come across to the group can be so beneficial to you as a professional stylist. So I'm going to give you a quick sample of how you could start. So if I started a show, I'm going to go right into role modeling. All right, everyone come on in. We're going to get started. I had a gentleman the other day come up and tell me, my wife only has 2 complaints. Nothing to wear and not enough closet space. And if you find yourself in either of these 2 categories, I'm going to be able to help you today. See, I started off 2 things. I did a quick clap to bring their attention to what we're doing. Absolutely recommend a clap. Then number 2, I told a joke. So you want to start off, there are a couple ways you can start your presentation. You figure out how you want to do it, either with a joke or with some questions. Those are 2 really great ways to get people involved. And that's it. We're going to stop with that because I can keep going on and on. But I want you to think about some questions that you can use to get people started. And they could be something like this. Okay, we're going to get started. I've got a couple questions to ask you. How many of you walk into your closet always excited about getting dressed? Right? And how many of you wish you were always excited about getting dressed? Well, if you're in either of those 2 categories, I'm going to be helping you today. And then you start to give your value of your presentation. So I'm keeping this simple, but think through those ways that you can start to grab people's attention and get started. And it's short. The opening is short. It should be. People are hungry for what you have to share with them. Keep it short, sweet, and move on. But make sure that you know exactly how you're going to start and that you are well practiced. So go ahead and talk about that. Okay, so we're going to move on to number 3, overcoming common objections. Now, it's important to remember as we get through this that people want you in the presentation. They don't only want the close, right? They want you and your take on them and how you're going to work with them, how you're going to service them. So it's important that you weave that in to this. Now, I'm only going to work on one or two common objections here, and then you guys can go through more on your team. And the one that I want to address is that they could be expensive to some people. If you know that this is a group that hasn't bought Cavi in the past, or you ask your hostess, how do you think your friends and your group, how do they like to spend their money, and what kind of clothes do they buy? And if she's not sure, no problem. We're going to address that when we get together. So here's one way. Again, your leaders are going to have other takes. Your friends, your other stylists are going to have a take. Here's one way. What we don't want to do, though, is hide from it. That's the one thing we don't want to do. We want to address it. So here's a way that you could address it. So depending on the way that you've been filling your closet in the past, you might look at these clothes and think, hey, this is a great deal. I am getting so much value from these clothes. Now, you also might look at them, though, and say, ooh, this is a little bit on the high end of where I usually spend. And if you feel that way, that's perfectly okay. It's important that you get to hear what other women have said that have bought these clothes. And I have heard women say that these last longer, you go into your value of it. So you compare and contrast. Okay, that's a great way to overcome objections, though. You compare them with, hey, this might be okay for you. Or if it's not, here are some things that other women have shared with me. You want to own that, right? At the end, we're going to talk about the importance of practicing each one of these, right? So that being expensive, you want to be able to whip that off easily with confidence. It's not going to happen if you don't practice. Okay, so let's go ahead, pause it, and talk about those objections that are common and one or two ways that you can start to practice and overcome them during your presentation. All right, so we've done a great opening. We've done a great show of giving value and tips and keeping the audience engaged. Now it's time to close the show. Don't assume that the group's going to know what to do or how to do this. If you've got a veteran group there, okay, maybe, but challenge them to do something different. What are some other things you can ask them to do that's going to help boost more sales for you? It's important when you close it that you let them know the show is done. So you're going to conclude with, okay, so this is coming up as our last line. And then after I share this last line, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Tell them what you're going to be doing. You come back, the show, you've presented the last pieces, and now it is time to try all these fantastic pieces on. Here's what I want you to do. Fill in the blank. Give them clear directions. The better your directions, the more likely they are to do what it is you want to do. Again, just don't hope they know how to try these on. You're the stylist. Tell them. Give them coaching on this, on how to try on these clothes and how to find the best pieces for them. All right, so we'll go ahead and pause and work through how you're going to close out the show. This is another piece. Again, you don't have to do these all at once, but when you go back to your notes, you say, okay, this show I'm going to really focus on how I close the show. Don't assume, don't hope it's going to go great. Know exactly how you're going to close that show. All right, work with your group. Okay, so we're ready for number 5, which is closing the sale. And your leaders are going to do an amazing job discussing this with you. But a couple points that I want to make sure everybody hears is that it's important to keep in mind your role there as the stylist. It is to serve women. It is to help them. It is to encourage them to continue going on. And until you've heard somebody say, no, stop, you continue encouraging to try on and to look at some other outfits and options. As one of the key leaders mentioned to me, it's a fine line of dancing with your women and continuing to offer possibilities. So keep that in mind. Never sit down during a show. I'm sure none of you do, but never sit. Your energy level is what is going to keep others at a high energy level. They're going to reflect what you give out. Make sure you give directions to people. Hey, try this on with this. That would look great. And if you've got to go help somebody else, try this on and ask your friend. Try these 2 pieces on. See which one you like better. The clearer your directions, again, the more likely they are to come along. And if you're helping somebody get dressed, make sure you're not just throwing the clothes at her. You're actually helping and serving her, right? Get that sweater situated so that she just has to put it over her head. Get the jacket out so that she just has to slide it on. Pull up the sleeves. Style her. Serve her. Make her feel like a queen. And I know that there's a lot going on and you got other people to take care of. But this is the fine dance of being a stylist with many women around. It's probably easy to style one person at one time, right? No. A professional can do multiple women at one time in different areas. So go ahead, hit pause, and discuss with your key leaders all the ways, all the strategies in making sure that you close the sale. Okay, from here, what are you supposed to do? Well, let me tell you what the amateur will do. Oh, I got so much out of this. This training was so great. And then they never look at it again. The professional is going to say, oh my goodness, this training was so great. I got so much out of it. And they're going to review it. They're going to practice. They're going to record themselves and send it to a fellow stylist. They're going to record it and send it to their leader for feedback. They're going to they're going to decide before they go into a show, okay, which strategy here am I going to use today? And do it, and then evaluate it after. Hey, what worked? What didn't work? And then the next show, they're going to say, okay, what strategy am I going to layer in? I don't expect you to layer in all these at the beginning, right? You start with one, you add the next, because I guarantee you that it works. Your show sale will increase. Your fun factor will increase. Your confidence will increase as you layer these in. And it does take confidence. Hey, I've been on both sides of this. What we call this selling from the stage. And I've sold from the stage my entire coaching career. And there are times when my confidence is, and guess what happens? My sales are, And when my confidence is higher and I know I'm going to go and I'm going to overcome objections, I'm going to give clear direction as to what I want people to do when I finish, my sales increase. Because people buy from people they are confident in because they know that person can serve them and help them. The number one reason why people buy from this person and not that person is confidence in this person. So when your confidence shows, they're going to be confident in you, and your show sale volume will go up, and it's going to snowball from there. You're going to meet more people. You're going to be able to recruit more stylists into it. But this one, take the time, be the professional, evaluate it, layer in the strategies, and I can't wait to hear what a difference it makes for you. Thanks for participating, and go out and make an amazing presentation.